Hey guys, it's Tony. Welcome back to the channel. This will be a fun one. I've been putting some cards aside I've been buying, trying to figure out what to show, when to show them in a video, and they kind of all came together this past weekend thinking about the cards, what I paid for them, and kind of why I got them. They're not cards I really would have thought about picking up as an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old, many, many years ago. But they all have something in common. And I want to show you what I think they have in common, to me at least as a collector of these cards. And it kind of goes to show you that not every card, has to be valuable to be liked. And I think we all know that. But we also all know that some of the more pricey cards in the hobby do get a lot of love and attention and showing on channels, and that's okay. And a lot of you guys I follow show cards that are not that expensive. And I love hearing those stories about those cards, how you got them, and what they mean to you as a collector. So all that is good, but all these kind of came together on this one video I hope you'll enjoy. And I'll be showing, I guess, about 50 or so cards. I'll do it pretty quick, but I want to talk about why I bought them and what they mean to me. So I will keep the camera turned this way versus turning it around, and I'll show you the cards. Um, so what do they have in common? I think they all have in common a general theme of having layers. So layers, what does that mean, that word? I mean, a cake can have layers, mud, dirt can have layers, the earth can have layers. Some layers are made of different things, some soft, some hard. In a cake, you've got a layer that's a sweet layer, maybe one not so sweet, frosting cake. Sorry, I'm getting hungry. You're getting hungry too, probably watching this video. I'll stop talking about cake right now, but layers. I think the cards that I like the most that I will never sell, and they may be the cheapest cards I have or cheap ones, have a lot of layers to them. They have several layers of meaning, of importance, or they connect up to the way I collect, the what I believe, what I like, teams I like, players I like, in many, many different ways. And the more layers I have in a card, the harder it's ever going to be for me to get rid of it or sell it. And likewise, or counter to that, if a card has few layers to me, I barely like the card, I have it, I'll probably be more prone to want to move it and sell it and trade it. And I'm trying to avoid being a dealer and buying and selling cards, but buy cards that I really think have a lot of meaning to me. I think like we all do. So enough talking, 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, I'll show you the cards I'm talking about. So first off, we'll be seeing some oversized post-war and some normal sized cards. Cards of Major League Baseball players and some of Negro League players, and some of which did play in the major leagues too. And then kind of a non-traditional set of a picture pack of my favorite team, the Chicago Cubs. So let's start with that to begin with. I got this on eBay about 2 months ago. I didn't do too much research to see what it was or where it may have come from besides what's on the label and the thing it's in. But I'll show it to you there here. This is a all-time Chicago Cubs photos, like a photo pack. You can see set number one. There's 18 or so different photos, and you've got a photographer's name in Chicago, Illinois. So these I got for less. There's 16 in here, I believe, right? 18. Sorry, there's 18 in here. I got these for less than about $1.50 each, and they are so cool. Let me show them to you right now. So they are Hall of Famers, but also Cubs Hall of Famers, and guys who maybe have different photos you haven't seen of them and different funny, not catchphrases, short names, right? Nicknames for themselves. So first one is Hack Wilson. We all know Hack, Lewis Robert Wilson, and you've seen that photo before on various images too. That's not new. These are going to be hard to come across here. Mordecai Three Finger Brown. You've got Stanley Canfield Stanislaus. That's quite the nickname. Stan Hack. Chicago Cubs. Frank Leroy Husk Chance. Didn't know Husk was a name, but again gives his majors and Cubs years there. There's Frank Chance. We've got Ed Marvin Big Ed Rulebach. Very cool there. You've got one of the older players known to play for the Cubs, Cap Anson. Seen that photo before on various other cards. Grover Alexander Grover Cleveland Alexander, Pete Alexander. I've seen Pete on various cards and talked about, but don't know the history behind that nickname. But there he is right there. We got James Leslie Hippo Vaughn. He's a guy I want to pick up a card of one of these days. I've got 9-1, but it's a little bit pricey. Hippo Vaughn right there. Charles Leo Gabby Hartnett. Cool catching pose, looking up, trying to get that foul ball maybe. John Joseph Evers, but the nickname is Trojan. Again, I had not heard some of these nicknames, so I'm not sure where they came from. I should probably do some more research on those too. Charles John Charlie Grimm. You've got, Joseph Burt Tinker. Guess you get their middle names too. Joe Tinker there. Joseph Vincent Mack McCarthy. John Grodwell Noisy Kling. Johnny Kling, Noisy. That was his name there, apparently. William Jennings Billy Herman. I love seeing the Cubs, the buildings in the background, the fence back there, the old uniforms. That's cool. A few more to go. Charles Jacob Holliker. I have to say I do not know him. He played, looks like 6 years with the Cubs and only with the Cubs, given that those years below. And the last one is William Frederick Bullitt Jurgis, maybe how you say that. So, yeah. Again, I don't know the etymology or history behind these photos, but again, they're fairly, paper-ish, like normal writing paper you'd have. I'm guessing put out probably in the 60s. That's what the eBay listing at least said. But cool images I hadn't seen before of some of these players and cool nicknames I didn't know they had. And just another way to kind of fill out your collection of your favorite team for fairly cheap on a per card basis. So that's my post-war oversized for the day here. Next, I got this set on eBay. It's a set of 36 cards I had not heard of before I bought it, but really getting into this league and some of its players and how they interact and interacted with the major leagues back, 80 to 100 years ago. The set box is Stars of the Negro League, a set of 36 cards. It was produced by Eclipse Enterprises out of Forestville, California in 1990. At least that's what the listing said there. So never saw these as an 11-year-old, but of these 36 cards, a lot of these guys are in the Hall of Fame. Some had major league careers as well, but some were just in the Negro Leagues. Either way, they still made it in the Hall of Fame. And a lot of these Negro League players didn't have playing days Gaudy cards or T206s. And so if you want to collect a card of each player, it can be kind of challenging and maybe more you have to go more of the modern cards made many, many years after the player retired to get an image of that player. So I'll show these kind of quickly here too. This is the front card. You got Satchel Paige there, Stars of the Negro League. Josh Gibson. Cannonball Redding. It's got nice little, a pretty detailed description on the back of these things too. Biz Mackey. Pop Lloyd. Bingo DeMoss. Willard Brown. John Donaldson. Monty Irvin. Ben Taylor. Willie Wells. Dave Brown. Leon Day. Ray Dandridge. And again, these cards all cost me about $1.50 each. When you think about the total price divided by how many cards are here, about $1.50. So, and I think 5 or 10 of these guys ish, I think are Hall of Famers. Turkey Stearns, I know is. And again, you can't really find these guys as cards that often, or they're probably, modern day issues from the 70s, 80s, 90s of these cards, or even guys, there's probably a 2022 set that may have come out for some of these guys with nice, glossy, shiny cards. But again, they didn't get the recognition they would have today. And some may be in other Hall of Fames, like the Cuban or Mexican Hall of Fame, I think, let alone the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, which is cool. And like I said, the backs have a lot of good write-ups about these guys. They play in Cuba, in Mexico, In South America, in the US, where did they play, where did they come from? So Martin Dihigo, Willie Foster, Dick Lundy, Buck Leonard, Smokey Joe Williams, Cool Papa Bell, I love that name always growing up, Bullet Rogan, Newt Allen, Bruce Petway, Jose Mendez, Louis Santope, a few more left, Judd Wilson, Sammy T. Hughes, and Oscar Charleston. So yeah, there's a set or two that show up on eBay every now and then, and there's definitely singles out there to buy for $1 or $2 each. But as I kind of try to put together some point in the future, a Hall of Fame, one card of each Hall of Famer is kind of a goal I loosely have. But again, some of those guys will be pretty expensive. But some of the early Negro League players who then either stayed in the Negro Leagues or came to the majors don't have a lot of card options. And so I thought this to have a nice set of 36 cards, all came in, one box here is like $54 on eBay, so $1.50 or so per card. I couldn't not do that to get a little piece of history here about them, write about them, learn about them on the back of the card, and put them in my binder or my collection somehow. So if you're curious about Negro League stars, there's definitely stuff out there in terms of single cards, definitely post playing days cards. But again, these cards have layers to me. They have layers in the fact that they're Hall of Famers, Negro League players. I can learn about them. I can appreciate them. They're cool. I can put them in a binder. They probably have cool stories, the ones I want to look to explore even more in the future. So those have layers to me too, despite their price. Lastly, to keep this not too long, I've got two more cards. These are more traditional Topps cards. And I picked these up from the same seller on eBay. And they're my first league leaders cards from 1961 Topps Baseball. What's interesting about these is that a lot of league leaders cards, at least even football and baseball ones in the 60s and 70s, would show who the league leaders were in batting, ERA, strikeouts, home runs, just for that year, like 1 to 40. The top 40 people would show up on the back of the card. These cards have the leader in terms of batting leaders and home run leaders for each of the last like 60 years. So there's 60 years of history on the back of this card, which is a layer in and of itself to me. I love learning about cards, the history of baseball and football and any sport, and seeing 60 years of history on the back of one card. That's a pretty cool layer for me. So I'll show you the cards right here. The first one is 1960 National League home run leaders. Got a few decent guys on there. Ernie Banks, of course, caught my eye, and it's part of my Ernie Banks run. Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews, and a fan favorite for all you Cardinals guys, Ken Boyer. So those are the league leaders in home runs, 1960. But the back of it, you can see Mr. Banks down there at the bottom. If that's going to focus, I'm not sure. But again, it has every single home run leader back to 1900. 1900, so 61 or so years of history on the back here, on the back of one card. So that's pretty cool. Learning about who was the star of their day, at least in terms of home run hitting, is pretty darn cool too. And of course, being a Banks collector, I had to pick that up because he's in that top corner there. And Ernie Banks led the league that year with 41 home runs. And back in 1902, the league leader only had 6. So it's come a long way. Second card too, 1960 batting leaders. You've got Dick Grote, I believe, at the top. A few guys you may know, Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente. And then I don't know much about Larker. I forget what his first name is, but he was also up there too in 1960 for the Dodgers. So I'm sure Mark's Dodgers card and some other guys know who that is from the Dodgers history. But again, cool having 2 Hall of Famers there. And again, on the back, you've got batting leaders. So again, you've got guys who are hitting over 400, 390s, 380s, and again, kind of goes to show some of the ebb and flow of how high the averages were in some of those years versus not. Especially more easy to see that in terms of the home run cards, given how low home runs were back 120 years ago versus what they are right now. So again, those cards have layers. They're things that have a Cubs connection, helps me learn about history, gives me something to research and learn about and understand and appreciate. And they're all fairly cheap. Now, these two, I will say, were not. $1.50 each. These are about 15-ish dollars each for those. They're all probably in excellent to near mint condition. But these guys right here for $1.50, you can learn about the Negro Leagues, at least how we understood them and who chose to write up the facts about them in 1990 when this set came out. And likewise, these guys definitely have layers for me as a Cubs fan. A new photo of a player, learning about a nickname, a middle name, who else they played for, and they're oversized, which is kind of cool too. So not sure how I'm going to display these yet. They are in the they're going to stay in this envelope kind of for right now. I figure out some other maybe holders to put them in, but that's where they came in. Not sure if other teams did the same thing to highlight their players of old. I'm not sure, but I just want to give you guys a little piece of what I've been collecting and picking up. Uh, it's good. It's easy. You can find some stuff for pretty cheap out there if you look and get lucky with the keywords probably if you find your favorite team and favorite player. Hall of Famers, All-Stars, Negro League legends. You can have all those cards for a few bucks if you really search hard enough. They don't all have to be the really expensive cards, although they can be, and that's beautiful and amazing as well. But there definitely are some value finds out there for some pre-war and post-war issues of Major League Baseball players. So with that, that's my talk about, I guess, layers of cards and what I'm getting into now and kind of having behind the scenes. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Any questions, reach out to me, send me a note. Love your comments. Anything else you guys are picking up that's on the less expensive side that's like this you're getting into? Tell me about how you collect or maybe the layers you look for to make a card really feel like it's at its home in your collection with you too. So with that, have a great rest of the day and week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.